Hello and welcome to our viewers here in Nigeria, the continent and all around the world. This is Newsroom series where we bring you stories from across Nigeria, but our focus today is on the North Central region. But just before we take you to that region, let's bring you up to speed with developments in Jigawa State, where the death toll in the petrol tanker explosion has risen to 153, while 100 others are receiving treatment in various hospitals in that state. That's according to the latest reports by the state government. According to the police public relations officer in that state, Lawan Adam, the disaster was triggered by residents who had rushed to scoop petrol after a tanker overturned and later exploded in Majia town, Taura local government area of Jigawa State.
Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un.
All right, so that's our top story this hour, but let's take you now to the North Central region, shall we? The Commissioner of Information in Kogi State has approved an update on the situation of displaced persons following the recent floods. He reports that many affected residents are still in need of assistance and emphasizes the urgent need for relief and support. Kogi State is calling on the federal government and relevant agencies to help with the reconstruction of infrastructure damaged by the disaster. The Commissioner also stressed that rebuilding efforts are critical to restoring normalcy in the affected communities. He also outlines preventive measures to avoid future occurrences, including improved flood control systems and proactive planning. The Commissioner highlights the importance of collaboration between state and federal authorities in implementing long-term solutions.
The NEMA team has arrived at the state to further assess the situation, but right now what we have is between 1.5 million and 2 million people already displaced. Kogi is flood prone. That is the confluence of two of Africa's biggest rivers, rivers Niger and Benue. Then the release of water from those dams around our African neighbors is also a very big challenge. So it is a combination of the rain and the waters released from those dams. We've invested and expended huge resources to be able to cater for these people. Our IDP camps are overwhelmed already. There's no way we could take that number of people into our IDP camps. So it's already a humanitarian crisis in the state. We decided to cry out when we realized that our resources have been overstretched, and it is something that definitely the state cannot cope with. We are doing the bit that we could, but it's going to be very difficult for us to be able to deal with. The responses have been quite slow from a lot of organizations that we expect should come up to do something to salvage the situation. But we are still going to come to the conversation of what we need to do to permanently solve the problem. It requires dredging. There must be very serious and intense dredging on both the rivers Niger and Benue, so that the water will have enough space to flow without overflowing to cause flooding. So we have a history of flooding in the state, and that is the reason we've done a lot to put a lot of infrastructure in place to see how we could put physical infrastructure to be able to curtail it to some extent. But as we are aware, as at yesterday, even the barriers we built along the river Niger has been overrun by the flood waters. So it is serious.
And staying with the flooding in Kogi State, the managing director of Hyperdeck, Abubakar Yelwa, says interventions are ongoing in Kogi State to support those displaced by the recent floods. He reveals that houses are being constructed to provide shelter for affected individuals, emphasizing that this initiative is part of a broader effort by the federal government. Speaking as a guest on the Morning Brief program, Yelwa explains that the interventions are not limited to Kogi State alone, but extend to other states impacted by the floods. He also highlights the federal government's commitments to addressing the crisis through various measures. He assures that Hyperdeck is working closely with relevant authorities to ensure that the displaced persons receive the necessary support, including housing and other essential relief services.
I think the situation is pathetic in Kogi, like I said, just like other Hyperdeck states, and that the federal government, through the Hyperdeck Commission, has addressed some of the issues it can address within its available resources. We have constructed the Kutonkarfe drainage, which we believe, if it had not been done, half of Kutonkarfe would have gone off by now. We are presently constructing the Itobe Ecological Control, Itobe Ecological Control. That's also a federal government intervention. I think the major issue here is the lack of drainage of River Benue. If the River Benue can be dredged and desilted, the water bodies can have its way. The water, there is no way it can overflow because it will have enough system to accommodate it. So I think the major concern is desilting. If you desilt and you dredge the river, it will be able to accommodate. And that the river should not just be used for transportation. You should have a system of using it to irrigate our farms. So if we can divert it by way of building smaller dams along the way, you can see that there will not be cases of this nature happening every day. But however, to address that issue, we have started constructing housing schemes for some of these most risky communities, like in Kogi itself, Lokoja itself, and like in Basa local government, we have constructed about 20 houses each. But this is very far from what is required. But that is what we can afford as at now. The federal government should inject in more resources to address the issue in not only Kogi State, but in all the 10 hyperdeck states.
And more reactions now over the Kogi floods. This time, the Nigerian Navy in Kogi State is calling for collaboration between government agencies and relevant stakeholders to address flooding in the state. The commander, Nigerian Navy Ship Lugard, Commodore Tamuna Senibo, disclosed this at a stakeholders meeting on flood disaster management and security. He's expressing worry over the current rise in River Niger and Benue water levels, as he says the situation requires drastic and timely preventive actions to forestall the adverse effects of flooding in Kogi State.
The Nigerian Navy team on a boat tour from Banda in Dokoja to Ganaja village for an on-the-spot assessment of the rising levels of the rivers Benue and Niger. The outcome of the visit is what has informed the stakeholders meeting at the instance of the commander, Nigerian Navy Ship Lugard. The forum is part of the strategies of Operation Delta Sanitary 3, Nigerian Navy under non-kinetic measures to win the hearts and minds of the people.
It is pertinent to state that the recent unprecedented rise in river levels currently experienced underscores the need for drastic and timely preventive actions to forestall the adverse effects of impending floods. Today's deliberation, therefore, will be aimed to enabling planning and coordination of relief efforts to mitigate the imminent floods. It will also identify the safe and security arrangements on our waterways.
In her remarks, the representative of the governor and special guest of honor, Folashade Ayoade, expresses the commitment of the state government to ensure that no life is lost in any flood disaster.
As much as the government is prepared, in collaboration with security agencies, and especially Nigerian Navy ship, be conscious of the fact that you have to move to the high ground already prepared by the government.
For the National Inland Waters Authority, collaboration with critical stakeholders is very crucial to enable the authority deliver on its mandate.
All this proactive enforcement, where we come out with safety measures. We look at the terrain, we look at the operations, what is bedeviling our waterways in terms of safety and security issues.
For every party involved in this crucial meeting, it's a call to action for everyone to ensure that man beats the flood.
Away from Kogi State, as part of the urban renewal efforts of the Kwara State government and maintaining of the original plan of the area, a plaza belonging to a former member of the House of Representatives has been demolished, while the owner of the structure says he has documents before building the structure and were given just 3 hours notice. The state government on its part says a 5-month notice was given and the approval was given for a car park infrastructure only.
Crystal Palace Plaza, located on Sulu Gambari Road, GRA, Ilorin, Kwara State capital, became the center of attention on Saturday morning when shop occupants were reportedly given just 3 hours notice by government representatives to vacate the premises. In a rush to avoid being caught unprepared, shop owners hurriedly packed their goods and belongings. By 9 p.m. on Saturday, during a rainfall, the entire plaza was demolished by bulldozers. The area turned into a scavenging site as people flocked to the remains of 20 shops, hoping to recover whatever they can. The plaza manager, Bolakale Idris Mustafa, criticizes the government for giving only 3 hours notice, questioning why a structure with valid documents could be demolished so abruptly.
We have the document. They brought a letter on that Saturday, letter of revocation of the original CFO. So if we don't have it, they wouldn't have bring that letter of revocation. So we have the letter of, we have the certificate of occupancy.
At the Kwara State Geographical Information Service office, the chairman, Abdul Karim Sulaiman, states that a 5-month notice had been given. He adds that the property owner violated the law by obtaining permission to build a car park, but instead constructed a mini supermarket.
We've marked that place for the past 5 months or so. We've marked to remove. We've marked it. To remove, we refuse to comply with our directive. It should refer back to its old use. The way our forefather designed it, there was nothing wrong with their design, the way they designed it.
The said property is in a peace corner, the cornerstone of Amadou Bello Way led to Silugambari Road. We obliged them. What did they want? Did they want to demolish our property? They said, no, they are not touching our property. All they need is they want to dualize the road. Of course, the road is being dualized already. But as I'm talking to you, the road can as well take 2 or 3 trucks at a time.
The government maintains that proper warnings were issued and the law was violated.
And staying in Kwara, the state government has commenced the distribution of fertilizers to farmers across the 16 local government areas of the state. The fertilizers were distributed to states by the Central Bank of Nigeria through the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Recall that the state had taken delivery of 70 trucks of fertilizer, totaling 42,000 bags of fertilizers.
Here to flag off the distribution of assorted fertilizers, which were donated to the Kwara State government by the Central Bank of Nigeria through the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. So we are kickstarting it to ensure it gets to the farmers at the grassroots and across the Kwara State.
It's a great initiative from His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kwara State, Malam Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, is a leader who listens to the yearnings of our people, especially at the grassroots. And with this, I believe by the time it gets to the beneficiaries, it's going to reshape their lives in a good manner.
You're watching Newsroom series and we are due for a break. But when we come back, we'll take you to Niger State, where the state government has reaffirmed its commitments to ensure it eliminates hunger as well as ensures food security. That's in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Niger State Deputy Governor Yakubu Garba has reaffirmed the state's dedication to boosting agricultural investments to eliminate hunger and ensure food security for all. Highlighting the administration's focus on agriculture as a vital strategy for addressing food scarcity, Mr. Garba disclosed this while representing Governor Umaru Bago at the World Food Day event in Minna, the Niger State capital. The event, with the theme Niger State Agricultural Revolution, Solution to Hunger and Better Health, underscores the state government's commitments to transforming its agricultural sector. The Deputy Governor is emphasizing that the state's agricultural revolution will not only address hunger, but also promote better health and economic prosperity for people of Niger State.
Administration, under the new Niger agenda, has redefined the focus to reposition the state as a foremost agricultural state in Nigeria, with the mandate to play a leading role in agricultural produce and contribute to the overall food security of the nation. In our steadfast commitment to sustain agricultural development in the state, we have made significant investment in the sector by procuring machinery and technology for enhanced land cultivation and preparation, such as 1,000 John Deere tractors, 500 Case tractors, 500 units of combined harvester, 10,000 hand tillers for smallholders farmers, 10,000 solar irrigation water pumps, and 1,000 pivotal irrigation system. We have also secured approval for 3,000 hectares of land to be used as an agro-processing free zone at the Bola Ahmed Tinubu International Airport, Minna. We have also signed several memorandum of understanding with various international business conglomerates and partners under a special purpose vehicle, SPV, led by the Niger Food and Logistics Company for enhanced agricultural produce for sustainable food security in the states.
From Niger to Plateau States, where farmers in conflict areas are beneficiaries of liquid gel fertilizer to boost agricultural produce towards addressing food security challenge. The 41,522 liters of liquid gel fertilizer, according to the National Emergency Management Agency during the handed-over in Jos, is the balance of fertilizer meant for Plateau States under the National Food Security Emergency into Agricultural Intervention for states affected by conflicts in 2018.
The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, resumes the distribution of liquid gel fertilizers to states affected by conflicts after the program was suspended in the year 2020. According to NEMA's Director of Planning and Forecasting, Bamidele Onimode, the initial suspension was due to changes in procurement regulations. However, the agency now procures liquid gel fertilizer as a replacement for the previously distributed NPK fertilizer.
Your Excellency may wish to note that the National Emergency Management Agency has commenced distribution of NPK fertilizer to affected farmers in Plateau State in 2020. However, this could not be concluded due to changes in regulation by the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, which led to the termination of the contract between NEMA and the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, NSIA, for the supply of NPK fertilizer to beneficiary states.
Receiving the consignment on behalf of Plateau State, Governor Caleb Muftwang assures that only farmers genuinely affected by conflicts will benefit from the fertilizer.
We want to appreciate this fulfillment of promise. And I was talking with Dr. Olimode to clarify this so that people will know the exact consignment we have received. And as is our practice, we'll make sure that whatever comes into our hands is managed transparently so that it gets to the beneficiaries. I want to assure you that by the grace of God, these products will get to the right farmers.
The State Fadama Cares Project Coordinator, Gideon Dandam, describes NEMA's intervention as a significant boost to food security, particularly for dry season farmers.
Coming in now with organic fertilizer, which is called liquid fertilizer, which is made from materials that are locally found within our country here in Nigeria. And because of that, they don't have any effect on human beings. But like you said, why is it necessary at this time? It is necessary because our crops this day need a lot of fertilizer to be added to it. And so liquid fertilizer has been discovered to be an important tool that can increase the yield of the farmer, one, then also reduce any chemical effect on the health of a farmer. Then thirdly, it doesn't even have any effect on the soil.
The liquid gel fertilizer, being organic, offers better yields and is environmentally friendly without soil contamination.
And to other stories, senior lawyers across the country are calling for the protection of judges and members of the bench from the political persecution attacks of judges who may not be able to speak for themselves due to the nature of their condition of service. A former Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Michael Aundaka, and Mr. Jibril Okutekpa, both senior advocates of Nigeria, made the call of activities marking the 2024-2025 legal year in Makurdi, the Benue State capital.
Members of the state judiciary, led by the Chief Judge of Benue State, Justice Morris Ikpambese, who leads the bench, and senior advocates of Nigeria, led by Mr. Bernard Asheka, converged on Makurdi for the 2024-2025 legal year. First on the lineup of activities is the symposium organized by the Chief Judge of Benue State with the theme Financial Autonomy, a Panacea for Judicial Independence. It featured Mr. Jibril Okutekpa, a guest speaker who sheds light on the effects of lack of independence for the judiciary.
In any nation where the rule of law holds sway, judges must be independent, both in appointment processes and in their financial status. This independence should not be limited, as I say, to appointment, but it must be extended to finances too. The judiciary, I submit, must not be seen to be partisan or allow themselves to be used to achieve a predetermined partisan political position.
The program continues with a Thanksgiving Mass held at the Catholic Youth Center, Paris, in Makurdi, where top lawyers, members of the bar and bench joined the Chief Judge, Justice Morris Ikpambese, to commit the new legal year into the ways of the Lord. After the homily, they file out to bring their Thanksgiving offerings, prayers and supplications to the Lord.
What we have heard today is a spiritual hope for us to live that kind of faith that will hold us from having heaven above.
Another highlight of the legal year is the open court session held inside the premises of the Makurdi Judiciary Complex, which begins with an inspection of guards by Justice Ikpambese. Governor Hyacinth Alia, who is represented by the Secretary to the state government, says his administration has commenced the implementation of gradual financial autonomy for the judiciary, even as the MBA seeks complete autonomy.
With the implementation of financial autonomy in the states, the judiciary can now operate independently, manage its resources effectively, and uphold the rule of law without external interference.
However, a former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Michael Aundaka, raises concerns about the persecution of judges and calls for protection mechanisms for the bench by members of the bar to preserve the sanctity of the judiciary.
This is an act that is worse than the corruption we talk about. Even though we have instances where members of the judiciary are unwittingly associating with politicians, the country cannot survive without rule of law. And we must, as a matter of edge, protect our judges.
For the Chief Judge of Benue State, financial autonomy for the state's judiciary is still at its infancy, and full implementation will greatly improve the quick dispensation of justice.
The House of Reps Committee on Narcotics Drugs, in collaboration with the Nasarawa State Government, is hosting the North Central Stakeholders Workshop, which has now been declared open by the Governor Abdullahi Sula. Correspondent Halima Gayam reports.
Stakeholders from the North Central region, alongside members of the State House of Representatives Committee on Narcotic Drugs, led by its chairman, gather in Lafia, the Nasarawa State capital. The essence is the North Central National Sensitization Workshop on Narcotics, Drugs Abuse among female gender and youth in Nigeria. At the opening ceremony of the two-day workshop, Governor Abdullahi Sule highlights the importance of the engagement.
Today's event affords us yet another opportunity to chart a course for effective deliberations and action towards addressing the challenges of drug abuse within our own environment. This is why I applaud the team for this workshop. Community participation, critical stakeholder support and partnership in the fight against drug peddling, use and abuse among Nigerian youth, addressing the prevalence of drug abuse and trafficking among the female gender. I have no doubt that this team will enrich our participants in the administration and control of drugs.
To tackle drug abuse, the vulnerability of the female gender is crucial to taking action, while all parties involved must also collaborate to tackle the menace.
This workshop is aimed at equipping us all with necessary knowledge and tools to combat the drugs abuse. By focusing on the female gender and the youth, we acknowledge the unique challenge and the risk that this group are facing. Young people are often exposed to peer pressure, and women may encounter specific society pressure, making them more vulnerable to drugs use.
It is important to state that the imperative of sensitizing women and youth to shun narcotics and drugs is to enable them grow to be responsible individuals that will be useful to themselves and contribute to national development. Evidently, it is not the responsibility of government alone, but that of parents, guardians, community leaders, and all relevant stakeholders who have a role in their optimum well-being, growth, and development in the society.
Participants are keen to explore the role of collaborative partnership and monitoring of young people by parents and other authorities to help minimize drug abuse. Halima Gayam, Channels Television News.
And that's Newsroom series this hour. Thanks a bit for watching. I'm Kelly Agiga. Bye now.